and welcome back to the Arsenal agenda. Today we're going to be talking the transfer window now that it's open and bids are flying in and out for players coming in and out of the Arsenal. Obviously, welcome, George.
All right, mate.
And today we're going to start by talking about some offers that have been made and players that are potentially coming in. Let's start with obviously probably the most talked about player for our transfer window so far, and the bid that we've already had rejected now by West Ham. Declan Rice, George, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, it's going to be a top signing, isn't it? It's, arguably going to be the biggest signing we've made since we signed Mesut Ozil.
Yeah.
In terms of a marquee player.
I was overhearing someone else saying that they believe it's the biggest signing Arsenal have made since we bought Sol Campbell, which arguably turned us into a title-winning, cup-winning team. So you know, with that in mind, obviously that's.
I mean, it's not done yet though, is it? But it's looking good. I mean, we had the bid turned down yesterday, which was a little bit disappointing. I saw some Arsenal fans had a bit of a meltdown on social media.
Oh, it's a repeat of the 40+1.
But to be honest, like, I think it's a respectable opening offer.
Yeah.
Like, from what I've been understanding from reliable journalists, it was roughly, we've offered roughly 80 million up front with 10 million in add-ons. So that would have totaled the 90, but I think they're looking for closer to 92 guaranteed with the 10 in add-ons. So we're not miles apart. They just want like an extra 12 million guaranteed. So we'll probably find somewhere where we meet in the middle. I believe the second bid is imminent because, you know, they don't want to waste time. They don't want to get drawn into a bidding war with City. But my understanding is that City, whilst the interest has been reported from City, that City haven't made a bid or anything. They're just monitoring what happens. I believe they're in advanced talks with Kovacic from Chelsea, which I'd argue sounds like good news if you're an Arsenal fan, because I can't see them bringing in two midfielders, not with the quality that they've already got. I think they only need one. So, yeah, I think they're just seeing what happens, like, you know, see if our deal falls through. But no, I think he is the number one priority, and I think they're going to look to get that one done.
I mean, from my point of view and what the players said, player wants to be in London, so that limits your doubt.
It's well known his preference is to stay in London.
So that pretty much limits you.
Obviously, it's hard to say no to the City at the minute. I mean, they just won the treble.
Yeah, but if the players, London, you know, life,
the only
family,
league side in London is Arsenal. So we are the only game in town.
That's my point. And I've heard a lot of Arsenal fans say it's a repeat of the 40+1 offer. It's Arsenal shaving. It's a
very respectable offer.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think it's a very, very respectable offer. I think it's a good starting point. I think, you know, anyone who's ever conducted business in your life, if you ever put an offer out and someone snaps your hand off for it first go, you feel like you've overpaid.
For example, it's reported, right, that they want 120 million. That's what the papers be writing. And that's good and well. But if we'd have come in with the opening bid, bang, 120 million, David Sullivan would have been sat there thinking, hold on a minute, they've come in with that as the opener? You know they've got a bit more in reserve for offer number 2 and potentially number 3. So
I mean, Simon Jordan said exactly that yesterday on TalkSport.
Yeah,
exactly that. And he knows him, so you know you wouldn't put that past him. But at the end of the day, in any business transaction, both businesses have to thrash it out to a certain degree to get to a price that they think it's fair. What would have shocked me if we chucked in a 60 or 70 million pound bid, 60 million. That would just insult.
Yeah,
I mean, people want to talk about an insulting bid.
That would have been a typical Arsenal move, though, right? Like 60 million, and we give you like 25 million in add-ons.
Yeah.
Like
if we win the Champions League, you know, yeah. But people want to talk about an insulting bid. I mean, they should be looking at our neighbours. the bid they put yesterday to Everton for is it Maddison and I can't
Leicester.
remember. Yeah,
It'll be Leicester if it's Madison.
sorry, Leicester. Yeah, sorry, Maddison and I can't remember the other fella now. The striker they've got there, I can't remember his name. But for both players, they issued a bid of 50 million.
Yeah, I think they're even trying to negotiate the Kulusevski or whatever his name is transfer fee down, even though they've had him on loan for about 2 years.
It's just we're not quite that bad. I think the bid's good. I think there'll be another bid.
I think that's quite respectable.
Yeah, I think there'll be another bid coming. I think Rice wants us.
Yeah,
We want Rice.
I believe it's imminent. I think we're coming in with something closer to 91 million or something. Like, you know, we're keen to get it done. We found out what the ballpark is now. We don't want to get involved in a bidding war with City. I believe the next bid's imminent. So let's see what they say to the next bid.
And are you happy that we're throwing, or not throwing? We're putting that sort of money on the table for Declan Rice. Are you happy with that sort of signing?
I mean, if you're asking my opinion of it, I think it's a little bit overpriced. But then
you got to bear in mind the English tax.
English player, yeah, the tax is a real thing, people, isn't it? Obviously, like. But yeah, I mean, if he was Spanish, you'd definitely save yourself 25 million, wouldn't you? But yeah.
Well, yeah, I suppose. With this, let's move on to a player in a similar position who we have been linked with.
It was a busy day yesterday.
Sorry?
Yeah, because it was a busy day yesterday, wasn't it, for the Arsenal fans?
It certainly was. And a player that actually I would have him as well as Declan Rice in the Arsenal squad. But Brighton's Moises Caicedo looks like he might be going over to a different side in London. I think it's looking like it's progressing with Chelsea. And when we talk about our next player, we might be sending over some pounds and pence to help them fund that deal.
Might be paying for it, yeah.
So for me, this one stings a little extra. I like Moises Caicedo. I spent the second half of last season trying to decide who I'd prefer out of Declan Rice and Moises Caicedo, and I think it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I think they're both quality players. Declan Rice has obviously done it over a longer period. Moises Caicedo is obviously a little bit more exciting, come out of nowhere, got a very big trajectory in his growth. I really like the idea of Moises Caicedo. I hope it's not as dead in the water as it seems to be reported now that we've sort of backed away from it.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, the right people are saying it. Fabrizio Romano, whoever said it, we've withdrawn the interest. So I think it's pretty much a done thing.
Yeah, which is a shame because
it's a shame because I also believe he had agreed terms with us.
Yeah,
you know,
he did in January, didn't he? Yeah. So, it's that one for me. I'm a little bit disappointed that it sounds like it's going cold.
Yeah.
Right, moving on.
The man that's going to pay for Caicedo.
Yeah, I just couldn't be any less inspired, I suppose, or excited. Kai Havertz. I
think a lot of Arsenal fans have been a bit unimpressed by this one, but at the same time, you've got to look at it from the point of view of, do we trust Mikel Arteta and his assessment of players? I mean, he hasn't done us wrong when you look at players like Odegaard, Zinchenko, Jesus. So he's had a pretty decent success rate, the way he's identified certain players. I mean, yeah, I think we're hating a bit on Havertz because of the way he's performed at Chelsea. But at the same time, let's take a look at De Bruyne. Was at Chelsea, did nothing, went to City. What's he become at City?
Yeah, but De Bruyne didn't get in the
situation. Mo Salah, though, similar situation.
Yeah, but they were both there when Jose Mourinho was there, who is known, doesn't develop young players, wants the ready-made talent. So they were what, 19, 20 at Chelsea, and had a manager that didn't even look at them twice.
I think we're being harsh on. I think we're being a little bit harsh on Havertz. So I was unimpressed like you, but I've had a bit of time to think about it, and he offers us something that we don't have in terms of height from You know, you look at our front line, we lack height when teams play the low block against us. So he would be an option when teams are doing that to us.
Well, I mean, if you want to
He's
bring
very
in
versatile.
someone with height and, you know, the ability to pump the ball up to, you know, when Van Dijk pushes him, he's not gonna hold up the ball against the elite centre backs. He's just not. He's proven that at Chelsea. He's got a great first touch.
Yeah.
He's really good at
Yeah, but
providing the play.
we're all
But
looking at how he's
if
done
you
at
want,
Chelsea too much though. Like Chelsea don't play our style of football, and the sort of football he was playing at Leverkusen prior to Chelsea was more similar to our sort of football. So, you know, he could suit us. You don't know. I mean, the jury's out in it, but you
yeah, I
can't.
mean, for
The
me,
amount that they're looking to spend on him, and the fact that they're prioritising him over Caicedo, says to me that Mikel Arteta hates him, and I rate Mikel Arteta's assessment of players. So you kind
okay.
of got to back him. I mean, I wasn't a fan of the Jorginho signing when
No,
we
me
made it.
neither.
In
Me
fact,
neither.
I was fuming, but he kind of won me over towards the end of the season. Like when he
Yeah,
did
he done a
play, I
job.
thought,
He done a
I
job.
see the
Unfortunately,
things he does. You know, like so. Yeah, I mean, whilst it's not the exciting name that we all wanted, we don't know what he could be at Arsenal. So,
yeah,
you know, if
yeah,
we sign him, we've got to back him.
yeah. No, I mean, ultimately, you know, if he puts on that,
You can't put too much pressure on the guy because you know that's what's gone wrong with Pepe, arguably.
I think Pepe was wrong in price, wrong in structure. People left because of it. That was criminal. It wasn't anything outside. Oh, the club was robbed. You know, in broad daylight, and that was Pepe. With Kai Havertz, I just feel like, you know, it was reported that Chelsea need to sell players.
Yeah,
Um,
by the 30th of this month, I think,
yeah,
to balance their books for the financial year.
and you know, I just sort of feel like, you know, you were talking earlier about not Leicester, sorry, Man City getting
Obviously,
Kovacic. Now you're talking about a cut down price. You don't hear 60, 70 million talked in the media with that one because they're desperate to sell. But
but they're not going to get that for Havertz, are
I
they? I
ju-
mean,
I
they
just don't
they know
think.
they're going to have to be flexible, and they need the money. And I don't think he's going to sign a
I
new
mean,
contract. So
what would
they'll
you
sell
value
him.
him at? What would you pay that you think is sufficient to getting a player of Kai Havertz's quality, a German international?
I mean, low end 35,
So
high
you
end
reckon
50.
half of what they quoted?
At the very low end, but obviously, like you say, that he's a German international. There might be a premium on that. So, in today's transfer market, I mean, you know, I don't value footballers, but I don't know, 50, I'd say is realistic tops for us. I wouldn't go
I
above
think
50. Wouldn't
I
go above
wouldn't.
50.
I certainly wouldn't be looking to pay a penny over 50.
No.
I think he was bought for 70 million. When
Yeah,
he was
they ain't getting that back for him
when he was
with what he's
performing
done
very,
for them.
very well. He's performed very averagely in the Premier League. Hasn't really set.
He did score a winner in the Champions League.
Oh yeah, but so did Fernando Torres. He scored a very important goal in the run up for Chelsea's. Like, you know, it's just one goal does not make a great player.
Yeah.
It requires consistency. And the one thing that's really winding me up about Kai Havertz is we spent a lot of time getting the walkers off of our books. And I feel like we're inviting Chelsea's walker straight into our team. As soon as he loses the ball, head down, walk in.
He does have that sort of Ozil-esque mentality about
I
him, doesn't
thought
he?
we had non-negotiables.
Yeah.
I think we're buying a problem in that one, but what do I know? That's my opinion. I think a lot of Arsenal fans are of the belief, are of the same opinion as me. But obviously, if the deal gets done, trust in Mikel and Edu, I will back the player. But for me, I think to fund Moises Caicedo for him is criminal.
Yeah, that's the only disappointing thing about it.
So yeah,
I
that's
kind of wouldn't mind it if they signed Declan Rice and then signed Caicedo, and then they came in for him as the third signing, right? You kind of wouldn't mind it because you'd be so happy with the first two.
exactly.
But yeah, it's the fault of missing out on Caicedo and actually funding that move for Chelsea.
Yeah.
I know that's why I think we can't get on Havertz back too much, and we got to back him because I do think he's going to come in to a bit of hate, and that's not a good thing. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. Moving back in the squad, we've been eyeing up another Manchester City Exeter, Cancelo.
Yeah.
Obviously,
That'd be a great signing.
Had his fallout
That's
with
the signing I would take.
Yeah, had his fallout with Pep. I think it was quite clear, and was shipped out pretty promptly in January.
Do you know what this fallout with Pep was?
No,
apparently?
not entirely. I assumed it was over playing time.
No, apparently it was. They were in a game or something at half time, and Pep was doing his talk, and Cancelo put his headphones in.
I mean, that is disrespectful.
Yeah.
Completely disrespectful. To be honest, if I was talking to someone and they put their headphones in, it would really rile me up and all. So yeah, I mean, as much as it's sort of laughable, I can't believe you've left the club over putting a set of headphones in. At the end of the day, you want to be a champion. You sit there and concentrate and listen to what I'm telling you. I'll make you one. And that's what Pep's kind of saying to him. So, and unfortunately, I mean, I suppose he's actually won the Champions League this season, won the Premier League, he's had probably the most successful season out of any City player because I think he qualifies for all the medals.
Probably, but he was playing, wasn't he, at the start of the
season? Obviously he's a multiple winner, fantastic player. But again, with Mikel Arteta's non-negotiables in mind, I hope he doesn't become a problem in our dressing room, as he did for Pep. Be it putting your headphones in the middle of a conversation. That's not the sort of actions I want, Saka thinking that's acceptable.
Totally, yeah.
If not him, it looks like we're looking towards Leicester. Sorry?
For Castagna.
I'm glad you said that because it's a name I always pronounce differently. So I'm going to go with Castagna today. Yeah.
Well, when you say Zivchenko.
One day I'll get it right. One day.
He ain't that leaky.
So yeah, Castagna. What's your thoughts on him? I mean, looks a decent player. Obviously in a very much struggling team last season. Could be done at a cut price deal by the looks of things as well. What's your thoughts?
Relegation. To be honest, I've not followed him much. I can't claim to know much about him. I mean, whenever I've watched Leicester, I've probably, the players that catch your eye are Maddison's and Tillman's, weren't it? But yeah, I mean, like you say, they had a poor season last season, so it's hard for anyone to look good getting relegated.
Yeah. I think the only player really that came out of that season with any sort of hype on him was
James Maddison.
Right. Any other ins that you've heard of, George? Those are the ones that I pretty much noted down.
No, I mean there's been a lot of. I mean everyone's name gets mentioned to Arsenal at some point in the transfer window. I
mean, obviously Kylian Mbappe's coming this summer, but
waiting for the Zaha regens.
Right then, players leaving. I'm going to start with one that obviously has been at the club a long while, had a hell of a journey with us. I'd like it to continue. Big player in regards to, that dressing room, I think. Granit Xhaka obviously had his, in my opinion, probably best season for us last season. But it looks like it's Leverkusen that are gonna seal the deal. Roma were interested. It's kind of like this is ready to go as soon as Rice drops.
yeah, it's kind of a done deal. As soon as we announce Rice, I would have thought a week or two later they'll be announcing Xhaka.
What's your thoughts on losing
It's a
Xhaka?
shame. He has been a good servant to the club, but at the same time, we're upgrading, aren't we? Let's be honest. He had a fantastic season last season, but he played at a level last season that he never really played at that level in any of his previous seasons. Let's be honest. So yeah, I think we're upgrading. I mean, Declan Rice, let's have it right. He's carried West Ham, for what, 3 or 4 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it's time. Yeah, thank you, Granite, but yeah, good replacement.
Do you know what? I kind of hoped with the journey that Granite's had with us as fans, as a club, you know, even to the point of with the referees and things, I think even they're starting to understand he isn't this hacker that everyone kind of thought he was.
No, he won me over the last couple of seasons, but
and to be honest,
but we're upgrading him, Rice. Let's be honest, and it'd be a shame to see him rot on the bench. So good luck to him if he wants to go back to Germany.
The thing for me, you say rot on the bench. He's just got over 30. We're a Champions League side. He's a quality midfielder. I would rather see the back of Sambi Lokonga and keep the likes of Granit Xhaka.
Well, I think that's on the cards, mate. I believe Burnley are interested in Lokonga. So yeah, I think that's well on the cards.
But
maybe see if we can chuck him in on the Rice deal. West Ham, do you want a bit of that? You ain't having Smith Rowe, but you can have Lokonga.
I'd be surprised if they'd take him, to be honest with you. It's he's just not
like
turned
for
out
like
to be.
Same position. What are you talking about? He's more your caliber of player.
But for me, I'm certainly disappointed to be losing Xhaka, and I kind of thought that Xhaka's replacement this season has already ended up at Villa. I thought we were going to get Tielemans.
You love Tielemans.
I have followed that player since he was 18 years old at Anderlecht. Yeah, I like Youri Tielemans, great player. Disappointed, obviously, he's ended up at Villa, and I think he strengthens them. But hey, you can't have them all. You don't win them all. But yeah, as you said, Granite, thank you for everything.
Caicedo would have been better than Tielemans.
Yeah, no, but we're talking the difference between spending 80 million and getting a player on free.
Yeah, all right. But then if you're talking free transfers, Gundogan.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But again, Gundogan at the end of his career, Tielemans very much coming into his prime.
But Gundogan do a proper job for us, like now, which is when we need it.
Sorry, mate, my laptop's about to crash. About to die. There we go. Right, so moving on. Another player I know you don't want to leave, Kieran Tierney.
Yeah, nah. See, that's the bad news, isn't it? Like, I think Tierney and Zinchenko, I think we were sorted at left back with those two. But I think, you lose Tierney, then the backup's like what? Nuno Tavares, and I'm not feeling that, mate. Going into the Champions League. Not going into the Champions League, no.
For me, by the sounds of things, I think
the problem is he's got decent interest in Newcastle, who are also in the Champions League.
Yeah, and the other thing that I don't think a lot of people are factoring in, Newcastle's a hell of a lot closer to home for him.
Yeah. He's a proper Scot, isn't he? Yeah,
So, as much as I don't want to feed Newcastle, I do think that there was times last season when we played Tomiyasu at left back when he was on the bench. You think?
Yeah. I remember thinking
it was almost like Arteta saying to him, "I don't need you."
The nod ahead of Tierney, that was bad news for him, and it was sort of writing on the wall.
I feel like Arteta has already told him, you can go if you wish. However, I do think we'll be able to demand a good fee for him.
Yeah.
So that's something to take into account as well. think he's still got a couple of years on his contract. And obviously, he's got a few suitors, not only Newcastle. I believe Villa have inquired, as well as potentially even City. So, let's see what happens with that. Now, obviously, we've got some other players that we're looking to get out. But I haven't heard too much in regards to movement with these. And I'll see what you think with regards to these. Obviously, Nicola Pepe. I haven't heard anyone interested in Nicola Pepe. The only thing I've heard is
there's
that
no interest. But
if no one does come in, Arsenal will do their best to rip up his contract. I mean, that is the worst bit of media news you can hear if you're trying to sell an asset.
Exactly. That's the media saying to everyone, don't offer Arsenal any money for the guy because,
they love ripping up a contract.
Before the deadline, they're going to rip up the contract.
Yeah.
They've absolutely stitched us like that. Whoever leaked that story is a joker. But yeah, let's be honest though. I know we paid a lot of money for him and he didn't live up to the billing, but he ain't a bad player.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like for certain teams, like I don't know. Let's say teams like Brighton or West Ham.
I think probably more West Ham than Brighton.
If they pick him up to about 15 million, I think he could do a job.
Yeah. Hopefully they're listening. But yeah, obviously we'll move on from that. Another player that we've already mentioned, Lokonga. Certainly hope that some interest can come in for him. I think, to be honest, his loan at Palace just confirmed he's not good enough to be an Arsenal player. He's not strong enough. He doesn't command the midfield enough. And I think there's a hell of a step off when you look at Granit Xhaka, Thomas Partey, Declan Rice, and then you talk Sambi Lokonga.
Yeah, no, I think, his time's up. I think Brighton's on the wall for Sambi. He'll be going.
Yeah, so...
I mean, there's a lot. We might as well just roll through them all real quick. Like Charlie Patino, sounds like he's on his way.
Yeah.
Flo Balogun, probably on his way.
Flo Balogun's an interesting one, though. That's going to bring us some money. Flo Balogun, because of his loan, because of his... There's credible interest coming in left, right and centre for Flo.
20 million at least.
Yeah.
I think Inter Milan are interested in him.
Yeah, so that's a good sale. A lot of, you kind of put him in there with some players that are likely to cost us some money to get them out the door again. So I just wanted to note on Flo's front, good player, and I hope and pray that we put some form of buyback clause just in case he becomes a player, because I think he's proven obviously in France that he can score goals. Now, if he can go do that in the Italian league, I think it's a step for him if he goes that way. I've always felt that the French league is not a good gauge of football. Sorry for anyone that loyally watches French football, but it's always been my opinion.
Kylian Mbappe, overrated, boys.
Yeah. But that's not to say that it's still professional football and it's still a caliber of football. So yeah. Hopefully it works. It works for him to go on. But yeah, like you were saying, I think Charlie Patino is that's, again, we're not going to generate much from that, but I hope that we have some form of buyback with him. Another player, Nuno Tavares.
I haven't heard anyone interested in him though. Same thing with Cedric Suarez.
Yeah, but I've heard they're both on the list.
Time's up, but who's going to pay his wages?
So yeah, there's a few players like that we hope to generate some interest in. But yeah, that's pretty much the run through of where we're at, I think, with the transfer window at this moment. Obviously, pending the next bid for Rice, hopefully that can get a little bit more exciting. Do you have anything else to add, Jord?
Yeah, I suppose in terms of, we've done some good contract negotiations with the likes of Saliba and Saka renewing.
Good point.
This is one, I believe, Odegaard is the next one on the list for a new contract.
Is Saliba's contract done? Or did we get this, it's all but done and haven't had the done?
Yeah, no, it's done. It's like the new 4-year deal.
It's done. Right, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was a little worried for a moment with him because obviously PSG were hunting around to offer him some big money, and I think that when he got injured this season for us, we really struggled in defence. I mean, even another player that we didn't speak about in the selling bunch, Rob Holding, another player that's got to go.
I don't think he's on the chopping block. I think Arteta likes him around the group.
To me, he's come in twice. He come in and
he gives us nightmares. But for some reason, the group and Arteta like him. I don't think there's any sort of inkling of him leaving. I think he'll stay. He'll be a squad player.
Well, maybe he might take on the Danosaurus role and be the team cheerleader or something. But I don't.
Club mascot.
Yeah.
Like on University Challenge when they turn up and they have a little teddy bear on the thing. Like, that's ours is Rob Holding.
But yeah, I'd love to see Martin Odegaard sign a long-term contract. I think I heard a statement of his the other day saying that he's loving it here. He feels valued. He feels part of the club. And I think for him, and again, another player that I've watched a lot of his career, when he's spent a lot of time being pushed from pillar to post, and he's found a place that the fans love him. He's captain. He's right at home at Arsenal. And I think it's a matter of, you put it in front of me, as long as it isn't something ridiculous, I'll sign it. I think he's
just got to be close to or on par with what Saka's getting.
Yeah,
I would have thought.
I think he's very much part of the project, in with Arteta, in with Arsenal, and couldn't imagine going anywhere else at the moment. I think even if any of the big clubs, if Real Madrid said we want you back, I think he's been there, done that, got the t-shirt, and doesn't. I think he appreciates playing week in, week out, and being one of the first names on the team sheet. And it's showing. His performances are getting better.
And I mean, not being funny, he's got to love having Saka and Martinelli either side of him.
Oh right? yeah. And Gabriel Jesus to feed off, obviously, as well. So yeah. Right, lastly, thank you all for listening. We know it was a bit of a long one. It was our opening transfer talk that we're doing today. But next week, we are going to be introducing our very first giveaway. Myself, George, we did a stadium tour up at Arsenal with one of the legends. I will save who for when we do the video. But we have a signed replica shirt from the stadium tour, and this will be given away to one of our subscribers in the coming weeks. So please subscribe, get yourself in that list of people. And yeah, obviously that will be coming next week. We will be doing some more talks as well. We'll do another video next week. We're going to try and schedule them in twice a week so that we can keep you updated with what's happening. There may be impromptu videos as well when we have pre-season friendlies, or even if players get finalised. So you're going to get plenty of content, but like I said, subscribe, hit the bell notification so that you can get our videos as they come live and be kept up to date with what's going on at the Arsenal. But thanks again, George. Thanks for your time, mate. And we'll look forward to seeing you guys next week. Thank you.